Hi everyone! So today I'm going to show you how to make this snowy, festive winter scene card using MFT stamps Snow Buddies stamp set. This is part of the Birdie Brown collection of stamps, and I just love all the little Birdie Brown images. So this is what the card would look like if you didn't add the snow. So that's that version on the left. And then if you choose to go the whole way and add the snow, then what you would end up with is the version on the right. So I'm just showing you both so you can decide which version you want to create on your own when you make this card. All right, so let's get started by stamping the images onto our card. This is a single layer card, so we are going to start by stamping the images that are closest to us in the scene, or those that are closest to the bottom of the page. That's another way of thinking of it. And after we stamp them, we're going to mask each of them and then add the images that appear behind them, or the ones that are farther towards the top of the page. That's another way of thinking about it. So we have these cute little dogs, that one of whom obviously just loves the snow. The other one we're not sure of. He looks a little bit confused by it all. And then we have these two little children who have just built a snowman, and they're all just having a great time playing in the snow on this snowy afternoon, or you could decide if it's an afternoon after the snow has come when it's not snowing anymore. So I'm just peeling up the masks now, and I am drawing in the line that's going to separate the land from the sky, just so that when I'm drawing in my sky, I know where to end. And I thought it would be fun to create like a winter rainbow sky, even though I guess there's no such thing as a winter rainbow. In the winter, you get something called sundogs, which appear to be like two little bright flashes of light on either side of the sun. If you have the same effect going on, that would create a rainbow in the summer. But anyway, I just thought this was such a pretty idea. So we're just going to go with it. We're making our little winter rainbow here with some pretty frosty colors. You could also think of this as maybe this is a magical wind, because it kind of has shape and movement. So maybe that's what's going on in our sky. And we're going to start with some bluish purples towards the top, and then go fade into violet, and then a little bit of lavender, and then some blue, and then some really, really light blue green. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of very light blue in the center, just to add a little bit of a glow in the sky. And I'm going to add a little bit more lavender towards the edges of the scene. And then I'm using my B52 for the top of the sky. It's a real pretty aquamarine color. I don't use it that often, but whenever I do, I just love it. I just love the pretty effect it gives to the top of the sky. And now I'm just going to blend everything together one last time. And now we can start on our fence. So we have a little wooden fence in the back of the scene, and I stamped the fence image twice, so on either side of the scene, so it looks like there's a little opening in the middle. You could have your fence go all the way across if you like. It's just whatever your preference is. And I love the little mounds of snow that are on top of the fence, so we don't have to worry about adding our own snow later because it's already drawn in for us, but we will shade it with some cool gray markers in a bit. And for the fence, I'm just doing real simple coloring. I'm just using some E20s here, and I think my base was E23. And then my shadow color is going to be that E27. Then I'm going to blend it all together with E23. And you could add a little bit of wood grain if you like in the back of the fence, but I chose not to just because they're kind of far back in the distance. And I think just the two color blend gives it enough definition. Now for our little snowman and our little children in the scene, I am going to color in their clothes. I'm trying to stay away from colors that are already in the sky. And I was looking to add some like pale or muted shades of the colors for their hats here. And what I had in mind was like the Northern Lights, or I don't know. I have this Fair Isle sweater that I had made a while ago, and it has all these beautiful like turquoise and peach and pink and gray colors in it, and that's kind of what my inspiration was for the colors in this image. So we're going to give our little snowman a coral or a peach colored hat with some red stripes and a little yellow pom-pom on the top. And the scarf is going to be yellow with some red stripes as well. And his little carrot nose I colored in with YR15 and a little shadowing of YR18. For the little girl, we're going to give her an orange cap. So my base color is Y21, and then my midtone YR15, and then my darkest, the YR18. I'm just going to leave the center of the hat pretty light, concentrating the shading on the edges of the hat, right underneath the pom-pom. And now we can color in the skin tones on the little boy and girl. So we're going to use a base of E00 here. You could also use E01 as your base if you want them to appear really peachy. Maybe make it look like they're getting a little bit of a rosy hue to their cheeks from being out in the snow so long. And then for the shadow colors, we're going to use E13 and E11. Now for the little boy's hat, I just love that little ear flap hat he has. We're going to use a base of YG03, and then we're going to shade it with some YG67 and YG17. And this has been one of my favorite yellow-green combinations lately. I've been using it a lot. I know I used it for Halloween, and now I'm using a lot for my Christmas cards. And for the pom-poms, just to give them a little bit of oomph or make them look a little poofy, I'm just adding some little dots along the edges with my darkest marker, just to make it look like they're little pieces of the pom-pom that are sticking out a little bit, just to add some texture to the design. And I'm going to do the same with a little girl's cap as well. And at this point, all I knew was that for the hats, I wanted the hats to have different colors, but still have them be kind of muted colors. Wanted them to look different from the sky, but I didn't really have a color scheme in mind other than that. I also knew that I wanted the little doggy scarves to be red and green. So with that in mind, I'm trying to make sure I cover all the colors of the rainbow. And while I'm still making sure not to use too much red, because I really want that little doggy who's lying on his back, I want that to help to define him and help pull him out of the scene by having a really bright color against these like paler shades that are in the background. So for little girl, we're going to give her a blue violet sweater and then a little blue green scarf, and then her hat, of course, is going to be that orange and blue green color. And these three colors, I like how they match together. It's just a really, really nice trio of colors. And then for both of the little boy and little girl, we're going to color in their boots black. So we'll do that towards the end. I'm just adding some color to her mittens and to the ruffle on her skirt. And now for the little boy, we're going to give him some orange colored snow pants and some orange mittens as well. Some little orange stripes on his shirt. It's pretty simple coloring here, just the YR15 and then a little shading with YR18. We don't have that much room to work in. And then for his coat, we're going to give him a blue-green coat, and we're going to start with a base of BG000 and then BG49 and 45. And coloring in this little puffer coat was so much fun. So the trick to it, to make it look like it's poofy, is to just make sure that you have really, really dark shading around the edges of each of those little down-filled pockets. And then you just want to leave a little strip of a little rectangle in the center, like very, very light. And we're going to blend all this in again with some lighter blue greens here, just to maintain that poofiness in the center. And then we're going to add or reinforce the darkness along the edges of those little poofy pockets. And we're going to add some shading underneath the collar as well, just to help with the dimension on the coat. And then for the hair color, at first I thought I was going to make our little girl blonde, but then I thought it didn't stand out that well against the back of the scene, so I added a little bit of brown to her hair as well. And now we can start on our little doggy in the center. So for his tongue, I gave him a base of R81, and then we'll put some shading with an E04 in a little bit. For the inside of his ears, we're using, I think that was either R00 or R01. They're both pretty close in color, so I think either would work. For the boots, we're going to have a base of C5. And then we're going to add in some C9 along the edges and then blend it together with some C7. So if you really want to end up with a true black image that isn't flat, if you start with C5 as your base and you C7 and C9 as your shadow colors, then you will come up with a nice black. So as you can see, those boots look pretty black. They don't really look gray at all, and it's just from using the C5, the C7, and the C9. I just love that little dog on the right with a little like, what's going on look on his face. And we're going to give him a little yellow-green scarf. And his little buddy, we're going to color him in with some E50. So for the base of his fur, we're going to use E55. And then a little shading with E57. And we're going to even darken up that shading even more with some E37 in a moment. And I'm adding my darkest colors like around the edges of the body. And then wherever there's a crease in a joint, so like by where his front legs, that little crease there, I just made sure to add a little like, it looks like an upside down or a backwards candy cane there, just to give definition to that little joint. I did the same with the one underneath his arm. And now for the belly, I thought he should have a white belly, so we're just going to add some shading with N2 and N0, and then blending it all out with a colorless blender. And then for his little friend, he's going to have similar coloring to the little doggy with the red scarf, but we're going to make him just a little bit lighter. And he's going to have some spots as well, so we're going to color in those spots with E37 and E55. And then the rest of the little doggy is going to be a mixture of E51, 53, and 55. And they both have noses that I colored in with N5 and N7. So they have little black noses. At the end, you could also add some black glaze pen to their noses if you like, if you want to make them extra shiny. Just adding some shading to the nose there. And now I'm going to add some shading to the snow. Since it's such a small area, I'm just going to use some C3, a real thin strip. And then I thought it wasn't dark enough, so we're going to add a little bit of C5 on the tops of each of those little mounds of snow that are sitting on top of the fence. And that gave it the little something something I was looking for. For little snowballs, we're going to put a little highlight on the edges in B000. And we're going to do the same for the snowman. We want him to look nice and chilly, and adding our shadow color with blues or even with lavender will help give that effect. You could also use cool grays here, or actually any gray that you like that would do it as well. And then on the white areas, I'm just adding some shading with my cool grays, just so it's not a flat white. Now we're going to add in some little snow drifts into our background, and I'm letting our main drift just follow the body of the little doggy there. So we're going to have him kind of cupped in snow. So that was a pretty easy little hill to draw in. I just followed the curve of the little doggy's body. And then we're going to add some shadows and some little dimples underneath the fence posts. And then also we're going to add a little bit of shadowing underneath the snowballs, and then we can extend them out into little snow drifts as well. So it looks like the snowballs are sitting on little mounds of snow. And here, I mean, just have fun. Just draw some like little curvy lines that kind of float across the page. Here and there, you can have as few or as many as you like. If you have a lot, it'll just look like there are a lot of different drifts of snow. If you have a few, it'll look more like just a blanket of snow. It's up to you what you like. Now I'm just adding, I thought it would be fun to put some motion into the scene. So I'm adding some little flecks of snow around the little doggy to make it look like maybe he's making a little snow angel in the snow, or maybe he's just rolling around. I know the dog that I used to have used to love to do that in the snow. And because we can't show white on white, I'm adding my snow with some cool gray. So C3, C1, and even some flecks of C5. And as we get farther away from the little doggy, I make the flecks lighter and lighter, just because I think that's how it would appear in real life. Anything that's around him is going to be in focus, and everything to the edges would be a little out of focus. Now I'm going to take a sentiment from the Snow Buddy stamp set. And this one says, I have snow much fun when we're together. And I'm stamping it with some black VersaFine ink. And now I'm going to add the entire card panel to an A2 size card base. So this is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And the paper I use is Express It blending card. And now we're going to add some snow. So I did a little poll on Instagram this morning asking people if they like the scene without the snow or if I should add some snow. And the response was overwhelming that I should add snow. So I went back after I finished this little card and I added the snow in and filmed it so you could all see here. And at the end of the video, I'll show both cards again so you can decide if you like it with the snow or without. I think I end up liking it with the snow. I think without the snow, the images are more in focus and you can see the colors better. But I just think that real magical, festive look that the snow gives really makes up for it. And it just ties the whole scene together. And I think the little doggy with the red scarf looks much happier when you add the snow in. It just... I really like the look that the snow gives. So we're just going to finish this up and then take a look at both versions of the card. I'd love to hear from you in the comments as to which of the versions you prefer, with snow or without. I'd also love to hear what your thoughts are about the winter rainbow background that we have. And that is all I have for you today, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great time with their holiday card making, and I will see you again soon in the next video. Have a great day.